Welcome everybody to another edition of Two Guys and a Mic. I am one of your hosts, RP.
And I'm your other host, Big Sean. How you doing, RP?
I'm doing okay, actually, man. It's always good in Cleveland Browns land when we are above 500 after 3 games. Generally, we are not, but this season is a different kind of season. We got a different kind of attitude, so I'm happy about what's popping. How are you, man?
I'm doing okay, man. I can't complain. I can't complain, but complaining won't change anything, so I choose not to.
We'll still be in the same spot.
Exactly, but in all fairness, I'm good, man. So
good.
As long as you above ground, you got shelter, food.
Yeah, man. Still got opportunity to fix whatever's wrong and correct whatever's not right. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Here we are going into week 4. As I mentioned earlier, we are in week, just past week 3, and we're 2-1 in a first place tie. And I only say that because I've had some people say some disparaging things about the Browns because they don't like a certain quarterback that we have that's starting. So they're like, oh, if we had a better quarterback, we'd be 3-0. Maybe, or maybe
not.
We just don't know because I've watched a better quarterback a pretty good team, and they're 1-2 now. I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
So, and he threw a pick at the end of the game last week that basically ended their opportunity to take that game back. So good quarterbacks do make mistakes. Great quarterbacks do make mistakes. So I always question, and Sean, you'd probably be one of my guys that I would go to and ask this, what designates what people consider great, good, etc. when it comes to a quarterback?
I think what it comes down to in Cleveland, or pretty much probably with every city in their team and their quarterback, you put your quarterback under a microscope. So you're micromanaging. You look at every single throw. He misses a throw that he should have completed. Oh, how could he miss that? He makes a mistake. Oh, how could he do that? Tom Brady wouldn't do that, or Mahomes wouldn't do that. But when you watch them, they're not perfect the whole game. I've seen Tom Brady stink it up in 3 quarters.
I watched Tom Brady stink it up against Miami, like in a regular season game.
Yeah. I watched Russell Wilson stink it up 3 quarters. Now, what those guys do, when it's time to make a play, they'll make a play. So, and it's also people, when we drafted Baker Mayfield, half the city didn't want to draft him anyway. They said come in as a Johnny Manziel.
I was one of them.
Right. So you have a segment that want to be right. And there's a lot of people, that's just human nature sometimes. Like, okay, I didn't like this guy. And every time he does something I don't like or mediocre, it just proves that I'm right. I want to be right. Me personally, I don't necessarily have to be right. I used to be like that. I don't have to be like that anymore. Like, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, so whoever we draft and bring in here,
good.
I want them to succeed, even if I didn't want them.
At
that time, anybody they bring in here, I want them. They're here now. Let me get behind their back and let's root them on, and hopefully they'll be successful.
It's like good, bad, or indifferent. I'm a Browns fan. We've talked about this on the show a lot. I didn't want Tim Couch. I didn't want Johnny Manziel. I didn't want Baker Mayfield. I could easily say I was right about 2 of the 3. But to me, ultimately, when we're not right, as a Browns fan, we are all in a bad spot. So it don't help us.
Right.
It's not about pointing out how right I was or how correct I was. Sometimes it's about, this is my team and I want the best for my team. So even though I was wrong or right or whatever, that doesn't equate to what's best for your team. Let me tell you and everybody else, one of my favorite players, nobody would ever think this about. I was in San Antonio when they drafted Tim Duncan. I did not. You know what? I had the most disparaging things to say about Tim Duncan. I didn't think that Tim Duncan was going to be a good basketball player in the NBA. I knew he was a good college player. I didn't see that translation into the league. And
Right.
how wrong was I? How wrong was I? Completely and totally wrong. So that's what I mean about you still root for your team. So you don't ever know. I didn't want Tim Couch, but what if Tim Couch turned out to be John Elway? What if Tim Couch turned out to be, a Ben Roethlisberger type of, somebody who's going to bring us to Super Bowls? You don't know until they get here. And I've seen worse quarterbacks than Baker Mayfield win Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And we all know that there are worse quarterbacks. Some of them are commentating right now, telling people what to do and what not to do.
Exactly.
So I'm fine with Baker. I just threw that out there early because I've seen it. And we're only in week 3, by the way. Baker doesn't have bad numbers right now. Baker is
no, not at all. And the thing is, like, okay, if you don't want Baker, who do you want? Who do you want right now? And the thing,
you think Case Keenum is the guy?
right? And the thing that I refuse to do is have an irrational conversation with people. Even like last year, people were like, "Look, Joe Burrow's doing this, and so and so's doing that." And I'm like, man, I'm not about to have that discussion.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not going there.
We're not doing this irrational. I'm not having a rational conversation.
But we've always been in love with the other quarterback, and that comes from just us. I think we're just scarred because we had so much bad quarterbacks throughout our history. You want our guy to be perfect. I remember when we had Tim Couch and the Lions drafted Joey Harrington. I remember some of my coworkers like, man, see, look at Joey Harrington. He's doing this, that, and the third. Bum. You know what I'm saying? He's the same place that Tim Couch is. Yeah. Achilles Smith. Remember Achilles Smith had 1.5 good games.
Guess what? I wanted what's the kid that Philly drafted from North Dakota?
Wentz.
I wanted Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
But guess what? How is that actually working? You see what I'm saying? We can all be wrong, and we got moments where we're all right. But nobody gets it completely and totally right, including Bill Belichick, including the Browns, including Bill Parcells, including Bill Walsh. All these guys have gotten it wrong at some point.
And that's why
got it right at some point.
Right. And that's why I hate giving draft grades. I hate that because you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know until it all happens.
Also, when it comes to rookie quarterbacks, either they crown them too early or they call them a bust too early. You don't know how that's going to turn out. You know what I'm saying? Because it depends on the organization they go to.
Yeah.
Coaching staff.
If you got
stuff like that, you got to wait a little while before you.
And we had bad organizations. You were one of the first people to say anything positive about Tim Couch. You said, man, it was just a bad spot for this kid. I ain't saying he was going to be great, but come on. Had a bad
if you go back and you look at those rosters back then, man, he had like Leslie Shepard as a receiver and David Patton and remember Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the backfield. It was just bad, man.
Well, I agree. It's a lot of it falls onto the organization and what the development of the organization is. And we've had poor development of players our entire existence since we've come back, should I say. So it's always a setup. It's always a situation where we're trying to develop a quarterback, but we're also trying to develop wide receivers. We're also trying to develop defensive linemen. We're also trying to develop a linebacker. We're always trying to develop.
And if you notice too, players are leaving the teams they get drafted by early and earlier now. Used to be a guy gets drafted, okay, he's going to be with that team at least 4 or 5 years. Now, players are like, hey, this situation ain't, this is not the right spot for me.
Like, this sucks. And I decided that it sucked earlier. So I'm done when my 4 years are up.
Or the organization, man, look, I was like, okay, we drafted the kid, maybe he ain't the right fit for us. And they go somewhere else. and they do okay.
Yeah,
It's all
absolutely.
about fit, culture, chemistry, man.
So
So
let's kind of dive in. I kind of started out with my questions, which is rare. We usually kind of work our way into that, but let's move into this week 4 matchup, because to be completely honest, this is the best game and the best team that we've played since week 1.
I agree.
Complete team in the Minnesota Vikings. And it's even tougher, not because we're playing a solid team, but we're actually playing a solid team in not that this matters, but it's a beautiful stadium. That stadium is beautiful. And I haven't seen it in person, but the pictures that I've seen for what they are, the Vikings, it looks like a damn Viking ship. Dude, that is awesome. Like, that's an awesome looking stadium. And it's a loud stadium. So we're on the road against this team in this new stadium. The Browns have a tough task in front of them because basically they're looking in the mirror.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because what these guys do it's very similar. For those of you who don't know, one of the reasons that it's very similar to what we do, being the Cleveland Browns, is because Kevin Stefanski came from that organization with that head coach, with that leadership, with those offensive-minded folks of high efficiency offense. It's the exact same thing that we do here, pretty much. And if you look at our numbers, Kirk Cousins, to me, is the most mediocre dude that's ever played football. However, he is great in the regular season somehow. He always just kind of manages his way through the regular season. And right now, Kirk Cousins is playing out of his doggone mind with what he has. He has something like 8 touchdowns, no picks,
no turnovers, no.
Damn near 300 yards a game, if not over 300 yards a game. I mean, he's balling right now in terms of the quarterback. And that's very similar. He has a high quarterback rating, somewhere around 120. So he's playing really well. But guess who else is doing similar things? Bake. It's almost the same offense. They almost have the exact same ideology and how they approach the game. So this is going to be an interesting game, bro. Give me your thoughts on how you kind of dissected the game, or how you think about the game going forward.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is our toughest test since Kansas City. I really don't feel really good about this game at all, and for several reasons. Minnesota is they're 1-2, so they're coming off a win against Seattle, 30-17, and it could very well be 3-0. So they lost the openers in Cincinnati in overtime, which was a tough loss. They really should have won that game, and then they lost by 1 point to Arizona, up in Arizona. They lost 34-33,
right?
Which is a very, very close game. So they could very well be 3-0. They got a lot of firepower, man, from Justin Jefferson. You got Thielen. I'm not sure if Dalvin Cook is going to play, but if he's healthy, you have to worry about him. Solid defense. And the thing that worries me about coming into this game is that 3 of our offensive linemen are on the injured list. They'll probably play, but they haven't been healthy all year round, and it's showing.
From week 1.
Yeah, from week 1. Because Baker is under a little bit more duress than he usually is. Jedrick Wills is really not healthy at all.
Bro.
He may not even really should be out there right now.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that, bro. Because I was thinking the same thing. I actually made this, and I just want to interrupt you real quick.
No, you're fine.
I made this comment to someone last week. When you weigh over 300 pounds, an ankle injury ain't the same as when you weigh 120 pounds. It's not quite the same. Like, everything that this guy does on the edge is predicated on him being pretty much, capable at his joints and every other angle. You know what I mean? So when one of your wheels is bad,
right,
and you can tell that he's been off. Like, how many times has he and he's only played, a year and some change. How many times have you seen him miss a snap count and dude just goes past him and he just stands there?
Yeah, he's getting beat a lot. And also, and what that's doing is what I noticed is giving Baker his little antsy back there in the pocket. He's not skittish, but he may let the ball go a little earlier than maybe he needs to. I went to the game against Chicago, and I saw in a couple of throws we had some guys wide open. I think he was anticipating pressure and let the ball, and throws that he would normally connect on, he was letting it go a little bit too early. He was overthrowing the passes. I watched Jedrick Wills specifically. He was laboring the whole game. After every play, especially if he ended up on the ground, he was sitting there for a while, kind of huffing and puffing, and somebody come help him up and get him up. So, and then Chicago has a good front seven anyway.
Yeah,
and they gave us some problems. So
they're gonna beat you up. Chicago
that's
beat us
my
up.
main concern coming into this game. And also, Minnesota is one of those teams the Browns just don't play well against historically. We've played the Vikings 16 times, and they've beaten us 12 times. I didn't know we've only beaten the Vikings 4 times in our history.
Yep.
So it's just one of those teams historically. We play close. They don't blow us out. I mean, every time we play Minnesota, it's never a blowout. It always comes down to, like a last second field goal or something like that, last drive of the game. I expect the same. It's going to be very intense. I think the Browns are going to want to show up for the coach. And then Minnesota needs this game. They can't drop 1 and 3 in that division right now.
Yeah, you go 1 and 3 in this division. Now here's the plus side. Honestly, I believe that Minnesota might be the best team in that division. But you're absolutely right. You could be the best team in that division, but you don't want to be 1 and 3 in that division going into your 5th week, rather. You don't want to be, because hell, if we were 1 and 3, everybody in the doggone NFL would be saying that we're a bust already. And
right.
It's because of the expectation. These guys are playing really good ball, so that's why I'm trying to put that out there. I don't want this guys that, oh yeah, we should go up there and whoop on these guys. The truth is that this is a really good team. They're a well put together team, and that we should respect these guys. When you hear the Browns talk all week about how decent these guys are, I don't think that they're talking out of their ass or trying to make Minnesota feel better. I think this is the truth.
Right.
I think that this team is a really good team that should be respected, and that we have to pay some attention to and really prepare for. And I agree with you. I think, the 3 guys that you really, I say the 3 guys because the 1 guy was hurt last week, but the 3 guys that, we have to pay some attention to, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and Tyler Conklin are their tight end, or their, you got to pay these guys some attention because they get a lot of targets and they make a lot of actual receptions off those targets. And they just spread the ball around. It's crazy to see a team that spread the ball around like that. And then you start looking at us and we're like, damn, we spread the ball around a lot too.
Yeah, we do.
So
also, for to mention that we're down Greg Newsome this game too.
And we're down Greg Newsome. Yep. So I mean, and that sucks, but it doesn't suck because now we get here's my thing. Greedy Williams needs to step up. And we've been saying that since we drafted him, and he didn't get an opportunity for that. And we kind of gave him, an L for losing that battle with Greg Newsome. That's not a knock on Greg Newsome, but to us, it's kind of a knock on Greedy. Because, we thought Greedy Williams was supposed to be this guy. Now Greg Newsome comes in as a rook and basically takes your spot, homie. So this is an opportunity for Greg Newsome to show his worth, show his wares, and let us all know that he's worthy of, being a starting corner in the NFL. But I expect him to see a lot of action. Like I expect to see whoever's on that side, I think they're gonna give him those looks. I don't think they're gonna try Troy Hill. I don't think they're gonna try Denzel as much because
I
I
agree.
think they see the weak link being Greg Newsome. If that makes, I'm sorry, not Greg Newsome.
I know what you're
Greedy
saying.
Williams.
Right.
Greedy Williams. So it's a process, and I think that we will. My personal belief, I think we can win this game. I think we will win this game, but we cannot make the mistakes on defense that we've been making between week 1 and 2. Like week 3, there was a kind of a weird game. That's an anomaly. You ain't gonna get 16 hits on a quarterback. You ain't gonna get 9 sacks. That's an anomaly. Those things don't happen often. There's a reason that the most sacks you ever see in a game is like 7.
Right.
It just like from one person. That don't happen that much. And Miles had a chance to get 7 sacks last week.
He did.
He had
He sure
a
did.
chance to get 7 sacks. He missed no less than 3 sacks.
And you know what? I think that was the best game of his career.
It was.
That's the Miles Garrett that we want to see, where it's not about him just getting the sacks, but you just a disruptive force the whole game. He's had a few of those games.
Yeah.
Like some games, there's been games where he's had 3 sacks in a game, but he wasn't disruptive the whole game.
Yeah, it wasn't that kind of a game.
Right.
Where every time you looked up, you just saw 95 flashing somewhere, causing a problem.
And let's hope Joe Woods keep this up now. For the first 3 weeks, for the first 2 weeks, he was vanilla on the scheme, everything. This week, he was moving Myles Garrett around, lining him up with Jadeveon on the same side. He let JOK kind of do his thing, press coverage. We were smothering him the whole game. Now, I know you can't do that with everybody, but going against Minnesota, okay, we know they got firepower, but let's be physical the same way we were with the Bears. The Bears are a physical team, and we were physical with them. Let's keep that same energy, against
and
Minnesota.
And the Bears are in the same exact division as Minnesota. So I agree with you. Being physical with guys, because I think that's one of the more physical divisions in the NFC is, the North with Chicago, with Minnesota. They play pretty hard ball. Other than the NFC East, they play hard ball over there. They bust. It's all about smash mouth football. That's how we are in the AFC North. It's smash mouth football in the AFC North. You better be physical. You better be fast, and you better be physical in the AFC North. If you're not gonna win. You got to out physical guys. So I agree with you. We have to bring the physicality, and I saw some of that physicality last week from adding JOK to the starting lineup. I think we need to see more of him. That dude was all over the place last week. But that's why I wanted him, because he's one of those guys. He's all over the place, and not just like a dude that's all over the place and you don't know why he's there. This dude is an all over the place kind of guy, like similar to, I don't want to give him, these guys are Hall of Famers, so I don't want to overplay this hand. But he's a guy that's all over the place. Like, how sometimes we used to watch back in the day when we would see Troy Polamalu when he was healthy, we would say to ourselves, God dang it. Like, it's him again. Even
all you saw was his hair flying in the wind, like all over the field.
Yeah. And that's what I feel that this kid can actually be, Sean. I really believe this kid can be that kind of a guy, especially when he's healthy. And I understand he has to understand how the game is played. There's a reason that he ain't been on the field a lot. So I don't know why he, wasn't, or what actually happens in specifics. But what I saw out of him last week, for literally for 3 or 4 plays straight, I saw the best football out of one of our linebackers. This dude was all over the place. Turn that out, baby. This dude was all over the place. So it was great to see. It was awesome to see. I thought.
It was. It was as good
as
seeing the defense being aggressive for a change, man.
And that's what I mean. I think the other part of that is I think that they allowed Chicago did something wrong. They allowed their guys who weren't that good to begin with, their offensive linemen, to go one-on-one with some great players. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
Because they didn't chip. They did not chip. Trust me, in this game, my man getting chipped. Miles is going to see a tight end. He going to see a running back. He going to see all kind of people coming at him. Kirk Cousins going to get back 9 times this weekend.
Yeah, and hopefully when that happens, okay, we're going to do that. We'll bring pressure from the other side.
And listen, I don't know if you heard that sound clip from what Myles Garrett said. Myles Garrett said that he was angry and he gets frustrated at his teammates.
Yeah, I saw that.
When I get chipped, that means they done took a whole nother person out of the damn play. Mm-hmm. Where the rest of my guys at? I'm taking on 2 or 3 dudes. Where y'all at?
Yeah, I saw that.
And that's real talk.
He got criticized for saying that too, but I knew what he meant.
But why? How you gonna criticize him for saying that? For real, did you have a problem with that, bro?
No, not at all.
I mean, because
he wasn't saying it maliciously or anything. He didn't. He wasn't throwing anybody under the bus specifically. He's really just saying what we're all saying. Who else is gonna step up to help him out on that other side?
Well, you know what?
So, but you know what though? Real quick, hold on, real quick. We also said though that the defense was going to take a little while to gel.
Absolutely.
Because they had all the new pieces, and now they got injuries already.
Yeah.
With guys, going in and out. So to be fair, we did say the defense is going to take a little while to come together.
So, and I agree with that. And a lot of these guys weren't capable of practicing early on too. Some of these guys were hurt early on from camp. And they never had the opportunity to practice together like the whole team. So week 1, week 2 were the first couple of times that these guys thoroughly, fully got together, right? Right?
Yep.
So, and that's okay. So, but when your preseason is the first 2 weeks of the season, it's gonna take you some time. And we're okay with it taking some time. I'm okay with it taking some time. So I'm giving Joe Woods some time. I've been hard on Joe Woods, but I'm giving Joe Woods some time. The thing though is, listen, man, I don't care if Miles was being malicious with his statement. He was correct. He was right. Listen, bro, everybody's focusing on me. If I take on 5 dudes off the offensive line, you mean to tell me y'all can't make a tackle for a loss?
Right.
You mean to tell me you can't get a pass defense? You can't do that? Then what are you here for? And I'm here to tell you what, as a Browns fan, as a guy that basically makes a piece of my living and interrupts my friends' pieces of living talking about the Browns, I need to hear that from somebody. I need to hear that from somebody on that damn team. Myles Garrett is the only one brave enough to say that. He said, man, listen, I'm playing against one of the best left tackles in the league. He was talking about the week before. And I'm getting tipped. Don't nobody pay to see me get tipped. They pay to see me go one-on-one against this dude. I get paid too much money for this. He gets paid too much money for this. But y'all putting 2 and 3 other guys over here for me. And then these guys don't make a sack. These guys don't get a pass defense. That's an issue. And I am thoroughly 1,000% in this dude's bag with that one. And I don't care what. You know me, man. The other problem we have in Cleveland is we are the hardest cats ever, and then we turn into the softest cats ever.
Yeah, you're right. It makes absolutely no sense at all.
How do you do both? How you mad at people
Right.
for leaving or for not wanting to be here or for not wanting to do this, and people who don't play and all this stuff. But then when somebody comes out and challenges their teammates, they're like, oh, well, why would he say that? That's hurtful in the locker room. You can't have both.
I'm pretty sure if he said that in that press conference like that, it's been said in the locker room already.
Actually, Malik Jackson said that Miles came to them and said that to them before he ever even gave that press conference. So it's already been said. So what we mad at? Y'all mad because I agree with you, Sean. Sean's been saying this for a long time. I'm advocating for my homie over here. Browns fans are so bipolar. We don't know whether we going or coming. And we say whatever is happening in our bipolarness. Like, oh, why would he say that? It's going to mess up the locker room. No, it's not.
And you know what I noticed too? You know what I noticed too is like, as bad as the city talks about Odell, when Jarvis Landry went down, everybody is like, oh, we kind of need Odell. So during the pregame introductions, Odell got like the loudest cheer out of like everybody. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, y'all been talking bad about this man since he's been here, and he hadn't really done anything crazy. All he did, the first year he was here, he played all 16 games. Had a few hiccups with, wearing the cleats and stuff like that. But for the most part,
some of that stuff was bullshit.
Right.
On the refs, though.
Yeah, exactly. Not blaming him, but you know what I'm saying. Things that brought attention to him.
Yeah.
Then last year he got hurt, and then everybody had to say, "Oh, we're better off without him," and he kept his mouth shut with that. And now, when you know you're down a receiver, you're down the heart and soul of your team. Now it's like, oh, I hope Odell plays. We need Odell. I'm like, man, y'all. It's like, come on. It's like, just stop it.
Yeah, which side we gonna be on? We are potentially the most bipolar fan base.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, "Well, we really don't need Odell."
Yes, the hell we do.
Exactly. Like we don't, blah 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 blah, and then coming up into this week. The week lead up to the Chicago game, the whole narrative changed. It was like, is Odell playing? What have you heard? Is he going to start Sunday?
I hope he's showing up. I hope Odell plays. Listen, you can't. Everybody knows this. You can't go to a knife fight. You can't show up at a gunfight with a knife, right? Everybody knows this. Odell Beckham might be one of the best guns you've ever had. Why do you not want to show up with your best gun if you're going to a gunfight? Odell Beckham may not have all the numbers that everybody looks for. He may not have the attitude everybody appeases to. Talent-wise, there's nobody on that team that can do what Odell Beckham does. There's no one that has the footwork. There's no one that has the hands. There's no one that causes the fear. Jarvis Landry is the next guy. So, the sharp fall off after those two guys. So if you don't have one of those two guys on the field, the next closest is DPJ to me.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, I'm just talking about talent. Running around, getting open, using your hands, tapping your feet, beating these guys off of the corners off of and the safeties off of certain stuff. You
I
have
agree.
to be a certain kind of a guy to be an Odell Beckham type of guy. This dude is gifted. And I'm not just saying that because he plays for us. I'm not just saying that because I hope he rubs the genie of his earlier years when he's getting 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. I'm telling you what I know and what I see because I've watched football for a long time. There's no reason for me to just suggest that this dude is any good just because he's on my team. This dude is incredible.
And I also like the fact that they didn't force the ball to him.
They did not.
Everything came within the rhythm of the
I
game.
wanted to touch on that, and we're going to touch on that in a second. But here's where I think that the Browns have an advantage in this game, in this particular game. Because we talked about the offenses already. I believe that the Browns have an advantage in this game when we're on offense and the Vikings are on defense. Because I don't think that the Vikings defense is as good as our defense can be.
Okay.
So last week, Seattle ran on them when they felt like it. Carson got decent yards when he wanted to get decent yards, and when Russell Wilson decided to run, he got decent yards when he wanted to. They didn't play the run that well, and that's kind of a running thing for them. They don't stop the run that well. Well, guess what we do really, really well? We run the ball well. So I think that we have an advantage there. Number one. Number two, they really don't stop the pass that well either. Not that they're not awful, but they don't. Like, who do they have? I'm just going to ask you off the top of your head. I know you know, but who do they have that scares you?
On defense?
Yeah, they got guys that are good, but
yeah,
who do they have that scares you?
Nobody.
So I think that we can do what we do better than they're going to do what they do better. That's my position. Now that doesn't mean that we will win the game because we all know that execution and whatever the coach decides, whatever the game plan is or whatever he decides in that moment. Here's what we can't have. We can't have us going for it on fourth down and us not knowing the snap count and us not knowing the plays.
Yeah, that was weird. Like I'm noticing. Yeah, I'm noticing more mental hiccups this year than we did last year.
Absolutely.
So hopefully they get that cleaned up because that's not very Stefanski like at all. Like that's not his MO, to have plays like that, man. So I think a lot of this is just gonna come down to the health of our offensive line. If we go in there three guys down, that's going to be a hell of a task to scheme something up. But stranger things have happened. I do like some things that I'm uncomfortable with some things and some things I like. I'm uncomfortable with the offensive line, the way they've been playing, but I'm very comfortable and like the way that we're integrating Kareem Hunt into the offense a whole lot more.
Totally.
Right now, he might be the most dangerous offensive weapon that we have. He's running. He's playing angry. Or he has a chip on his shoulder.
That dude is like a bull in a china shop, man. He just like he gets the ball, whether it's on a screen, whether it's on a check down, whether it's on a handoff. Once he gets the ball, it's like, hey man, all bets is off.
Right.
He hitting defensive linemen, he's hitting safeties, like just straighten them out. And then you think you're gonna get a clean hit on him, and you just kind of get like this waist kind of thing. He's just like fucking you off. Like that.
Yeah.
I think that Kareem is one of the more important parts. And I wanted Kareem to be more of the offense last season. I thought he should have been more of the offense last season. And I think Kevin is starting to put him as a part of the offense as we keep moving forward. Like he's too hard to defend. Now tell me this though. Do you think that we should have more uh two back sets where you got Kareem and
Um,
Nick on the field?
Depends on what you're trying to do to that play. Um, I don't know, man, because the way the Browns offense is kind of predicated, especially when you run the ball, they like to have a lead fullback. Or a tight end, as a lead blocker. So I don't know. So like you put both of those guys in there, are you automatically signaling a pass?
Are we?
In that case?
Well,
Yeah. I mean, do you want Kareem or Nick Chubb lead blocking on a run play?
Not necessarily. However, if you got them both on the field, here I am let's say I'm a middle linebacker. I'm not big enough to do that physically,
Right.
but let's just say I'm the middle linebacker, and I see the both of these guys, and they spread out. Man, what do I do? I'm looking at my weak side guy. I'm looking at my strong side guy. Like, hey man, somebody got to grab one of these cats. I might even be turning around looking at the safety. Like, yo, we got to do something with one of these guys. And I agree with you. You may not want to have Kareem Hunt blocking for Chubb, and I damn sure don't think I want Nick Chubb out front blocking for Kareem Hunt. So it does make sense. I always just feel like it's an imbalance on the field when you got the both of them on the field.
And they may be saving it. They may be saving that, for later on in the year. Because the beauty of what's happening now, like Chubb is still averaging something like 4.5 yards, 5 yards a carry, and he's not even gotten going yet.
He ain't got going at all. This dude is just banging through the season. Like right now, he's just banging through the season.
Right. So I remember, last year and even this year, we said run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And here's where I'm gonna try to get into Fancy's head right now, especially when you're using analytics. With analytics, not even analytics, just football period. Running back, especially in today's NFL, tend to break down a lot sooner, especially towards the end of the season. I'm willing to bet a little bit of money that the reason why Chubb isn't getting 25, 30 carries a game is just for preservation. And now that you got Hunt, and now what you're doing this year is you're giving Hunt, before last year, Hunt was getting maybe 4 or 5 carries a game. Now he's up to, man, like almost 20 touches.
I was just getting ready to say he's getting
between running and receiving.
He getting about 8 and 8 right now.
Yeah. So when you look at the total amount of rushing attempts between the two, it almost equals out to almost about 30 total. You know what I'm saying? But now, if you're not overloading one or the other, keep a guy fresh. Or if somebody goes down at some point, which one of them probably will miss a game or two at some point. Okay, now you can be the bell cow, but you're fresher because we ain't using you like Derrick Henry.
Right.
Like Tennessee's running Derrick Henry. I mean, I haven't seen this since like Earl Campbell back in 79, 80.
This dude's getting like 30 carries a game.
And that's what I don't want them to do. As much as we love watching us run the football and love watching Chubb and Hunt run, I'd rather do it this way and have them ready for the playoffs. So if you get a bad weather game or something like that, when these guys are fresh enough, when you need them to do it, you have that option. Because you notice every year with Tennessee, Derrick Henry got about 8,000 carries and get to the play. He don't do nothing in the playoffs. I mean, absolutely nothing.
He get
He have
80,000
8,000 carries. And he's done in the play. He didn't do anything in the playoffs. And Tennessee is still doing this. You went and got Julio Jones, and you got AJ Brown, and you still running Derrick Henry 45 times a game.
AJ Brown is hurt though. Now AJ Brown is hurt.
How? They ain't done nothing.
Probably because he's blocking downfield blocking.
Right.
So, and that's kind of to your point that you were saying about having both of these guys hunting and Chubb on the field at the same time. Do you want this dude downfield blocking for this guy? Like, so
yeah.
How does that play out for the coach? If you remember when K2 back in the day got hurt on that, he was on the hands team.
Broke his leg? Yeah, man. I remember that.
They took whoever the coach was at that time, who knows who the coach was, Pat Shermer or somebody, I don't know. But
he got fired, I think.
They caught so much hell because in their mind, everybody's mind was like, why would you have K2 on your hands team? You hear what the team that was on the field. It was the hands team. It was the guys that had the best hands in the game. It wasn't no regular kickoff. It's not like you had him on regular special team. It's the hands team. So you have to understand. There's a lot of cats that don't understand football. Then there's a lot of cats that are just so emotional. I don't know if you guys have watched this podcast beyond what we're doing right now, but there's one of us that's way more emotional than the other.
I wonder who that is.
I'm not gonna say no names. I ain't gonna point to nobody, and I'm not gonna point out anybody. I'm not gonna rat on nobody. However, go back and look at the tapes. Somebody has been way more emotional than they needed to be at certain points in time. So I understand the rationale when people get like, what do you got? Because it happens. It does happen. You get a little bit frustrated as a fan because you don't understand how your best player, because at that time K2 was our best player. How does your best player end up in those types of situations, right? But ultimately, it boils down to the coach's call, and it boils down to what the situations suggest. And as Browns fans, we need to just chill. I think that we're in a good spot right now. I think that as we look at this game coming up, I think we're in a good spot. I actually think we're going to walk out of this thing 3-1. It's going to be a tough game, but I think we're going to walk out of this thing 3-1.
Okay. I'm still not feeling good about it.
I'm not feeling great about it, bro.
I think Minnesota's
said that earlier. I didn't want to cut you off when you said that earlier, but I agree with you. I don't feel great about this game. Like I'm if I've been skittish in any game, if you want to call it skittish, this is the game that I feel a little bit skittish about. Because this is that game that we can mess up or, no matter what we think.
Because I don't feel that, even though the Browns are averaging 29 points a game, 28 points, I don't think we're clicking yet.
We're not.
It's still no, and that's crazy to even say that. Because in years past when the Browns wasn't clicking, he was averaging 12 points a game, literally, 12 points a game. And now, even when they're off, and I guess if you really want to play devil's advocate, that would probably should give us a reason to be more optimistic about the game. Because it's okay, we're not clicking, but we're still putting up points. So when we do click,
But here's my question to you, and I already know the answer. I know the answer already. But I'm going to ask this to you because somebody might listen to this podcast and say to themselves, ask themselves this question. So I'm going to ask you the question that I think people might have. So When's the last time, as Browns fans, that we felt positive coming out of a year that we had some good stuff happen the year before, where we didn't feel skittish about what was getting ready to happen?
The only year in the current iteration of the Browns was coming out of that 2007 year, going in 2008. I thought that we were going to light it up. You bringing back everything. I thought we were going to the playoffs definitely that year.
Okay, and I agree with you on that. So now, let me ask you this. Let me be more specific. When's the last time, after being successful in one year, that we actually lived up to the expectation of what we thought was going to happen?
We haven't done that since that the early, maybe late 80s.
Late 80s. There you go.
Year
that
into the 90s.
When we went back, so we ended up going back to Denver.
Right.
So where I'm going with this, folks, is it's been a long time for us, the long-suffering Browns fan. It's been a long time. So it's hard for us at times to gather ourselves, to be realistic. It's hard for us to not be emotional, and also, as Sean would clearly point out on many, many, many occasions, to not be bipolar and think to ourselves that, oh, we're doing too much. We need to, pull back and not think that we're that good.
Right. That's kind of like that low self-esteem thing kicking in.
Yeah.
Because it's funny because we're sitting here worried about the Vikings, and you probably listen to their radio, or it's probably somebody in Minneapolis doing the same thing we're doing right now.
As they should.
They're probably worried about the Browns. They're probably like, man, they got Chubb, they got Hunt, they coming in with Odell, Baker, they got Myles Garrett. So
absolutely, and that's where I'm going with this. That was the entire point that I was getting at. Like, bro, we are clearly one of the better teams in the NFL. Like, and I had problems with this going into the season. People are already saying that Stefanski is like one of the better coaches in the league. I don't know that I buy that yet. Not because I don't like Stefanski, but that's pretty early to give.
Right. After a year and a couple of games.
Yeah. This dude is coached 19 games. Now, I can't give him in one playoff game. I can't give him that cachet already. Especially when I watch a guy that I don't necessarily root for, Mike Tomlin. He's just now being called a really good coach, like a really good coach.
Right.
But they don't hold him in the same esteem as they hold certain other coaches in the league. Like, this dude get this quick. Let's relax. I like Kevin Stefanski. I got my issues with him. And again, if you want to go back to find out the emotional person between the two of us, you'll hear some things that have been said about Kevin Stefanski that you have to actually even consider, because he's not been perfect, and he's admitted as much. It's one of the reasons I like this guy, because he's been open. He's been very clear that, man, I made mistakes last year. I need some stuff. I know some stuff I need to fix. Blah blah blah. That's hard for a coach. That's hard for anybody. Period. That's hard for a person in general to say, man, I mess up often and I need to work on myself. Who says that to themselves? Not many people. This coach says that. So, I got nothing but love for Kevin Stefanski, and I think that having him as a coach, I said this last year, I'll continue to say it, having this guy as our coach, I think we're just going to keep winning because we have this guy. Now, I don't know that he's the guy that's going to carry us over that threshold of getting to the Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl. However, I think we got our best shot with this guy.
I agree 100%. So
I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to roll with this guy I'm gonna give
Yeah.
him grief, but that don't mean I don't like because I give him grief. Because I give my brothers grief, I give Sean grief. But guess what? I love these dudes to the end, and I'm always be there for them. So it's the same thing with Kevin Stefanski. So
Okay.
I'm hit
So
on something real quick, real
yeah,
fast.
yeah.
Tell me, because I've been hearing this a lot here recently. Everybody was a little bit up in arms during the week about Baker and OBJ. They felt like Baker was targeting OBJ because he had 9 targets, 5 catches, 77 yards. People were like, oh, here he goes again. He's targeting OBJ.
I didn't hear that, but I haven't listened to the radio all week, really.
I listened to it on purpose because of that.
Just people just being silly. I was at the game, and at no point in time did he force any throws to Odell or anybody in the stand sitting around me to say that at all. So I don't know what they're getting at all when they say that. Just because he gets really 9 targets during the game for the number 1 receiver really isn't even that many. So it's not a lot at all. Just people they got to find something to gripe about.
So listen, let me point out the targets that Kirk Cousins had last week. Justin Jefferson had 11 targets. Adam Thielen had 9 targets. Tyler Conklin, 8 targets. Now, if you go to other teams and look at who their number 1 guy is or the guys that they depend on the most, I'll guarantee you that their numbers of targets are similar to those numbers.
Right.
So when you have a guy with talent, when you have a capable receiver as a quarterback, who the hell else are you throwing to?
Exactly.
Devontae Adams, you think, Nick, do you know how many times freaking Aaron Rodgers threw to Devontae Adams in that game last?
He had to have at least about 17, 18 targets. It was something ridiculous. That's the only dude he was throwing the ball to.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Speak. Please speak.
So I don't know, man. People got to find something to gripe about, man. You can't, like, the Browns won, they pretty much dominated Chicago.
And that's where I was at. And I had to bring it up because it was irritating me. But I knew what you was gonna say. Or should I say, I can't say I knew what you were gonna say. I knew that you would have some level of irritation about it. Like, what are y'all talking about? Bro, how many? Go back and look at the targets that Jerry Rice got from Joe Montana or Steve Young, please.
And they weren't even monitoring targets back then.
Or Rich Gannon when he was in Oakland. Please go look, because when you're good at what you do, they want you to have the ball.
Exactly.
That's just
common sense, man. That's football. Like
receiver that we have talent-wise. You guys need to get over that shit.
Yeah, it's a difference between targeting the guy and forcing the ball. I mean, you forcing the ball, that's when you're having almost interceptions. When guys not open at all, you throwing in the triple cut, doing stuff like that. And he didn't do that really at all in that game against Chicago. So
and that's not what happened last week. It's not what
happened at all, man. So let's go ahead and make our predictions real quick. I'm gonna go Minnesota 31, Browns 28.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Sean decides that the Browns are going to lose this game. But
I picked this is the first time I picked against them in a while.
It is actually. And it's going to be a tough game because it's on the road. So it's not like what you're saying is the worst damn thing ever. If you really look at it, you don't even have to look at it in the vacuum. You just look at it. It's just not the worst thing ever. So I'm picking the Browns. I think we're going to win this game 27-26. It's going to be a close game. It may come down to McLaughlin making a field goal or two. But I think we're going to win this game. I think we're going to walk out of here with a tough, tight win. This might be our first tough, tight win. And I think this will start because we go on the road and get this tough, tight win. I think it's going to be the start of us, like, boom, boom, stacking wins. That's how I see it. So I say the Browns 27-26 in a real close game. Because again, as you can see by what both of us picked, this game could go either way. It's just one of those situations.
I think the Browns are favored by 2.5. I think Vegas got us favored by 2.5.
And we both look, and we both stayed right within that window. Whoever puts some money on this gonna win some money if you put our numbers in there. So let's move forward. Not because we don't love the Browns, but let's move forward real quick to Ohio State. Ohio State has Rutgers coming up. Here's something that's happening right now. Travion Henderson. Last season, Sean and I, if anybody watched the show last year, Sean and I had issues with Ohio State's running game. One of us completely and totally hates one of our running backs who I will leave unnamed, Master Teague. Can't stand him and doesn't like his running style. The other one of us feels like, while I don't hate, did I say I? My bad. I ain't mean I. While while one of us doesn't hate the guy, I do absolutely agree that running style doesn't work for us. We are a number of things in Ohio State. We're like running back U. We've been defensive end U. We've been cornerback U. We've been a wide receiver U, especially recently. But again, one of the things we've always been known for is really good running backs. Go back as far as the 60s and 70s. So we always churn out a guy that is incredible in terms of running the ball. Last year was one of those rare years. This year, Travion Henderson is turning into a surprise to a lot of us. I didn't have any expectations of this kid, but he's turning into a monster when he gets the ball. Mm-hmm. And I think going forward that it gives us being Ohio State, it gives us an opportunity to win this game against Rutgers. I don't think that Rutgers is a good run defense, and I think that we will probably walk out of this thing with and or without Stroud playing. We should walk out of this thing.
Yeah, McCord had a pretty good game yesterday. I mean, granted, it was Akron, but a good game was a good game. I would not take that away from him. But yeah, I think Ohio State should win this game. It's at Rutgers. Our defense still is going to be a problem. Rutgers is not a bad football team at all.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
They hung in there with Michigan. Michigan kind of jumped out on them, but they kind of climbed back. Only lost by 7. In Michigan on the road. So, and Greg Schiano's back in charge, so he's getting that program kind of rebooted again. So, yeah, Greg Schiano's Ohio State guy too coming back in. So, actually, I mean, it's at Rutgers rather. So that's going to be a tough game, man. It's going
to be tough.
We should be okay. We're starting to finally click on offense now. We're running the ball steadily, effectively. Got good receivers. Just the defense just worries me still. I don't think that defense is going to get any better throughout that. I just don't think they have the personnel.
They're not
to be better.
You made a statement earlier in the season. What are we in week 5 now? And
something like that. Yeah.
So Sean made a comment, and this is why Sean is one of my closest go-tos when it comes to sports. Because Sean always makes astute, whether we agree or not, his commentary or his thought process is always very astute. He said to me through text message, we don't have a single professional player on defense for the first time in I don't know how long. And he's absolutely correct. It's one of the reasons our defense is off. We do not have a first round pick, a second round pick, a third round pick on that defense. Not a single solitary one.
Not right now. No, we don't.
And once he said that, it literally made me go look, because of the type of person I am, not to prove Sean wrong, but it brought up curiosity in me. So it made me go look, like, who are these guys? And I literally finished my research, like, yeah, who are these guys? Like, none of them.
There's no Bosa. There's no Bosa. There's no Chase Young. There's no Dante Whitner. There's no Chris Gamble. Nobody.
Ain't no Denzel Ward. There's none of these guys that you're gonna take the whole goddamn New Orleans Saints DBs are from Ohio State. So again, we're not seeing any of these guys whose games translate to the NFL. And I don't know that that's something that's a factor of Erg. I don't know if that's a factor of Brian Day. Like, I'm not sure whose fault that is.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure whose fault that is.
And it could just be, it happens to a lot of teams. You had that 1 year, really going back to last year, when you just don't recruit well for a year or two defensively or offensively, and you have those little lulls, and hopefully, they'll get it back together. Look at the point spread. Ohio State is favored by 15. Now, that sounds like a lot, but usually when we play at Rutgers, they're favored by like 35, like 40 points. Yeah. So even Vegas knows that Rutgers is not the same old Rutgers, and actually by only having them favored by 15,
and hell,
they're giving them a puncher's chance to win that game. Huh?
I said they also know that we ain't the same old Ohio State.
Yeah. So they're actually giving Rutgers a puncher's chance to win this football game.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna go. I think we know the running game that we have right now. I'm gonna go Ohio State. I'm gonna go 35-20 over Rutgers.
$35-20. Okay. I think I'm gonna go 38-24.
Okay.
I think we should still pull this out. Again, we're still playing. We still have more 4-star and 5-star guys than Rutgers does. We should still pull this out, but you cannot overlook how tough this team is going to be. I think Rutgers is a tough team. I think Greg Schiano is a red ass, and he's always going to have that squad ready to play. There ain't nobody coming in there just walking over them guys. And even though we may walk out of there with a 15-point win or a 14-point win, ain't nobody coming in there with a 14-point win and ain't nobody feeling them. So it's gonna be a tough game, and it may look ugly early because again, I just don't buy into whoever we have running our defense. I do not like our defense at all. I don't like our scheme at all. I don't like what we do defensively. I don't like where we are defensively. And it sucks because that's one of the first times I probably ever had anything that critical to say about.
Right. It used to be, if we had to rely on anything, we used to rely on our defense to hold us down while the offense was struggling or trying to figure stuff out. Now it's like the exact opposite. Like we got to score 45 points.
Yeah, like we can't have the issues on offense that we've been having You know,
Yeah, and the rest of the Big Ten is getting better, man. Iowa's getting better.
oh no, this is what
Um,
was gonna happen, bro.
Penn,
And you know,
Penn State is getting better.
yeah, this is what was gonna
You
happen.
know,
Like when we got Urban Meyer, and Urban Meyer set the standard for Ohio State. So when Tress was here, it was still old school Big Ten football. It was all kind of small ball, but when we get to the big game, we couldn't compete. We didn't have the speed from edge to edge. So now Herb comes. Now he gives us that edge from side to side. We also got down the middle speed. We also got guys that listen. We never had wide receivers that were capable when they got to the league. Not before Herb. Not too many before Herb, should I say?
right?
Not too many before Herb. Herb shows up, and now we got developed wide receivers. You got starting wide receivers right now in the NFL that went to Ohio State. Not just one or two of them. You have defensive ends that are starting and are monsters. Herb brought all of those guys to Ohio State.
Right.
So it changed what we were because he gave us the speed. He gave us the lateral speed that we didn't have. He gave us the depth that we didn't have. Every year we just had another dude that was capable of replacing the Bosas. You had you had Joey, you had Nick, and then you had Chase. Like
Yep.
what? Who does that? All these guys in succession.
Three of the most
So
dominant defensive ends in college football.
come on.
You know,
And
respectively.
now
Yeah.
guess what? They are all dominant defensive ends in the NFL. So Herb brought that culture here. That new age, we're fast enough, we're big enough, we're strong enough, and we can compete with anybody we want to type of. Herb's downfall was JT.
Yeah,
JT
his Lord JT Barrett for whatever reason.
he just wanted JT. He loved JT, and he just rolled with JT. That was Herb's downfall. It wasn't defense. So we had that, and now we don't have that. And when you said that to me, it almost took my breath out of me because we were texting. I looked at the text. I read that text about 13 times. I just kept looking at it like, damn, he right. God dang. This some bitch is right as hell. Like, we don't have one dude that's going to get taken in the first 4 rounds.
Now, probably, Ron, when the combine happens, somebody will test out well, and maybe
Man,
somebody shoots up,
no,
whatever.
That
happens.
they're not getting picked in the first 4 rounds. I'm just looking at it for what you said. And I know you
Right.
said it out of, at the time, you probably said it out of emotion. But
No, I was just being dead serious. No, I was being serious. Yeah, I was dead serious. Like they don't. No, nobody stands out. Nobody pops out.
Bro, you were
At
spot
all
on, bro.
when you're watching them. So
You were spot on. And when I went and looked, I said to myself, there's not a name on this damn list to me in terms of their starters or the guys that regularly play. I went and looked. And it ain't nobody that's testing high right now. All these guys are going to be 4-year guys because they're not that good. Who's a 4-year guy in college when they're awesome?
Right.
Not one of them.
You're right.
So you were spot on. And this is why I said I can't do a show without this guy. Because this guy says stuff to me that I don't even say to myself. He brings up stuff out of me, make me say, God damn, where my notebook at? Let me look at this. He wrong. He can't be, damn, this dude is right. So that's why I appreciate you, man. That's why I don't like doing the show by myself anymore. I could do the show by myself, but I don't like doing it by myself because you.
Wouldn't be the same. We need each other. We got to bounce off each other for it to have the dynamic that it has. Wouldn't be the same if either one of us was doing the show solo. So, but we need to go ahead and wrap this boy up for this week.
Let's go ahead and wrap.
You can catch us on various streaming platforms: Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. You can also catch us on YouTube at 2 Guys in the Mic 216, Facebook 2 Guys in the Mic 216, and Instagram 2 Guys
like
in the Mic.
And subscribe, y'all.
216.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, and click that bell thing. Right. So, you have anything else that you need to add today?
No, we good, man. Long live the Coliseum.
Richfield Coliseum, you got your throwback stuff on today?
Yeah, I got my throwback stuff on today. Long live the Coliseum. Long live the Cleveland Indians. I know we getting ready to change. We passed that moment right now because we getting ready to get to the end of the baseball season. But I'm Indians all day. I look at it like I've looked at everything else. I call Progressive Field Jacobs Field. I call the Field House. I call it the Gun. I'm probably always going to call the Indians the Indians. Go Guardians. However, y'all still the Indians to me.
Basically. All right, man. So let's go ahead and get out of here, man. Hope you have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you Sunday.
All right,
we'll be back with our post-game show on Sunday.
Love you, bro. Peace out, y'all.
Yeah.